Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It is December 4th. Happy Friday. Just going on an easy run here. And then we're gonna get into today's video. See you soon. Okay, so now that the run is done and the work is done, we can go into the fun stuff. Today's video for day 4 of Vlogmas is going to be 5 tips for current juniors who are running track and or cross country. And before that, it's Friday. And Friday means Fried Rice Friday. Now I know I don't often have videos of me running while I'm doing these vlogs and stuff, so let me guys know if you enjoy watching me suffer or run or train, whatever adjective you want to use. And who knows, maybe I'll do like a live stream while I'm running my long runs or something. And of course, as soon as I come in the house, Coach Heil needs me to run an errand, so I guess my cooldown's gonna be a little longer than usual. So with that run done, I'll put the stats up right over here in this little corner for you guys to enjoy. Alrighty, so now that I've had a meal in me, let's get into these 5 tips for juniors. A quick disclaimer that these tips are based on the assumption that you are participating in a regular competitive season and not affected by COVID. And before I forget, folks, if you like the content that you're seeing, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and then tell a friend to tell their brother, to tell their roommate, to tell their neighbor.
Tip number 1 is to be the heart and soul of the team.
Now what I mean by being the heart and soul of the team is that you are the engine that moves everything. You're the one that is in charge, because typically the first semester of a student's senior year is like the most stressful, given that the fact that they have to really hone in and whittle down their college choices, and then they have to go through the application process and all that. So why not your junior year take the brunt of the leadership responsibilities on, so that the seniors can focus on what they got going on. And you know, when you got incoming freshmen and sophomores that are under you, they're going to look to you to be that positive influence. It's also important to take on more of the leadership responsibility your junior year, because those freshmen that are, you know, looking to you for guidance, they're going to be your teammates not just this season but the season to follow. So it's real important to have a solid relationship for those 2 years and keep the cycle going. It's also going to show coaches who can be a responsible leader and who is willing to take on the brunt of the responsibilities early on in the season. Now, in my experience as a coach, I make it a priority to have one junior captain and one senior captain, and the way everything flows in is that the seniors take on a majority of the responsibilities and the leaderships during the summer training when we have incoming freshmen and a bunch of newbies trying to learn our system and learn our culture. And then that way, by the time the season rolls around, the junior starts to take on the responsibilities of that. That way, the seniors can do their thing, and by the end of our competitive season, everybody knows who the junior moving on to their senior year will be. It also just makes the transition of captaincy that much easier on the juniors as you move forward into winter conditioning for track and then eventually spring track, because everybody knows who that captain is going to be. And everybody knows the second semester of high school, your senior year, if you already got a college acceptance letter, you're basically riding high and you're on senioritis. And at that point, you're just trying to enjoy the ride before you graduate.
Tip number 2 is to increase your workload.
Now, when I say increase your workload, that doesn't necessarily mean mileage right out the gate. Yes, I do believe that assuming that you're healthy or you've had a healthy 2 years, your mileage from your sophomore year to your junior year should probably bump up maybe 5 to 10 miles, depending on what kind of system and how high mileage you guys have in your training program at each individual high school. But what I mean by increased workload is also incorporating more strength work, more flexibility, more mobility drills, and more kind of just ancillary work. I'm actually of the opinion that one of the biggest improvements an athlete can make is doing something like cross training, because you're working different muscle groups and different energy systems that you aren't accustomed to using in your primary sport. So having that versatility and having the uh, the different aspects of work is truly going to help you develop as an overall athlete. If I think about it now, I actually remember taking more time off in between, say, a cross country season or in between track seasons, but I wasn't just completely resting. I actually increased the amount of cross training I was doing in between those breaks. So, for example, the transition from the end of cross country season to the beginning of winter conditioning for track, I took maybe a week off of running, but I started cycling. And then my junior year, during that same period, I took, I want to say, 2.5 weeks off of running, but then I started incorporating cycling and weight training. And then my senior year, after the end of cross country season, I took almost a month off from running, but then I incorporated cycling, strength training, and then I was playing basketball with my friends. So doing all of those different types of movements and different types of training and working different muscle groups really helped me bounce back in terms of not being as out of shape when I made the transition back to running. And it also just allowed me to actually kind of develop less injuries as I got older, because the muscle groups I wasn't totally working, they became stronger, and it was easier for me to stay consistent with my workout and my training.
Alrighty, for tip number 3, we have become a student of the sport.
So you hear a lot in other sports about being a student of the game, right? I think one of the most memorable athletes who considered the mental side of sports and competition was the late great Kobe Bryant, and he would always talk about being a student of the game, right? So what I mean in terms of running is listening to podcasts or reading books or subscribing to magazines like Runner's World, to get a sense of what's going on in the world of running. Are there different types of training going on? Did somebody find a new discovery in terms of recovery? Are people transitioning to different types of diets? And seeing the training philosophies of American distance athletes compared to the Kenyans, or compared to some countries out in Asia or in Europe. That type of research is just going to help you become a better athlete up here, and it's also going to allow you to look at things from multiple perspectives before kind of honing in on one decision. And if you really feel that you're finding an idea or some type of article that could really help you, bring it up to your coaches, because more times than not, they're going to be open minded enough to look at the article and see, okay, how can we incorporate this into our program?
Tip 4 is don't push out your coaches or assume you know more than they do.
All right, guys, no surprise here, right? Rob's going to support coaches. But also, I mean, just think about it, guys. More times than not, your coach actually ran cross country or track when they were in high school or college or maybe even professionally. So, realistically, they are going to understand or they're going to have some sort of awareness of a similar training problem that they may have had in the past. And as far as, some of the teenage problems, look, despite the advances in technology, a lot of the problems that high schoolers dealt with in the 1970s and 80s and 90s are they're still problems in the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s, right? So I think it's important to kind of take a step outside of your situation and really consider, okay, if I really need help, I'm going to uh, I'm going to look for help with an open mind, just as much as your coach is going to approach a problem with an open mind. At the end of the day, coaches are teachers and responsible for your lives and and the development of both your athletics and your academics and your social and emotional health, right? So just because you think they may have had a dozen experiences dealing with emotional abuse or physical abuse, but your situation is so unique that they just won't understand, get out of your own head, because I'm gonna tell you, they are going to help. If you're taking issues with some of the training that's going on with your coach and in the workouts, then bring it up with them. No matter what the issue may be, whether that's bullying or abuse or puberty or eating disorders or um, academic issues or eligibility issues, they have dealt with something in the past. So they are your best resource and they are your best outlet for finding that help.
And finally, tip number 5, look for colleges that fit your academic or career goals before your athletic or social goals.
So here's a sad truth, y'all. Unfortunately, for 99.9% of us, running will not pay the bills. So it is important that you find the best collegiate situation for you, and that should be stemming from which provides the best program for your intended major or your hopeful career goal, because those are the things that are going to put food on the table, and those are the things that are going to put a roof over your head. And, I'm of the opinion that as long as you can find the program and the majors that you are looking for, I think more times than not, that's really the key to finding the social circle that you want to be a part of. Whether that involves athletics or not, whether that's being in a club, uh, or maybe a Division 2 or a Division 3 team, where the academic side plays a factor into your potential financial aid, especially at the Division 3 level. And the obvious thing you have to keep in mind is also, it doesn't matter how athletically talented you are or how great of a program you're part of at whatever college you go to, if you can't maintain a 2.0 or above average at the school. So keep in mind, when it comes to the college that you want to attend, find the best program that is going to get you a degree, which will help get you a job, which will help you live and survive. It's real important that you have to think of things and put things into perspective and to consider everything in the long run. Pun intended. So that's going to do it here for me, folks, on day 4 of Vlogmas. I've really enjoyed creating this content for you guys, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed my silly antics. And, I've really been learning a lot about the amount of work and effort that YouTubers are putting in. And for all those boomers that don't think YouTube could be a full-time job, man, I gotta tell you something. But in the meantime, hopefully I get to see you guys in the next video, and hopefully you guys are enjoying your week and are going to have a great weekend. And with that, I bid you all a good night, and if you're feeling up to it, and if you can, get on up and run with Rob. Catch you later.